I am M. Woods. I have been making work since 2004 as a high school student, but releasing work since 2010, 2011 as M under the studio Disassociative Productions. I am a independent, avant-garde media maker and multidisciplinary artist, and my work mainly has to do with mapping out the way in which human beings function in terms of nothingness and the way in which nothingness spreads through politics, but also through the social. I'm the son of a Costa Rican immigrant, and on my grandfather's side, he's from Ecuador. In Costa Rica, for instance, I am white, and there's no distinction whatsoever there. My own work, though, also examines Latino racism and the prejudice that Latinos have. My work is always coming from first a foundational identity crisis. As a white passing person, witnessing trauma, witnessing racism against my family, and the fear of that.
You motherfuckers can't tell me nothing. I'd rather die than to listen to you. My DNA not for imitation. Your DNA an abomination. This hour, this when you in the matrix, dodging bullets, reaping what you're sowing, stacking up the footage, living on the go and sleeping.
When I was younger, I watched Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, you know, and even though the source material is ridiculous and racist, the actual scene of Wonkatania, where the media is a tunnel, an immersive space, and it's a nightmare, and all they're doing is going through a boat ride where bizarre and disturbing images appear. And so I thought the juxtaposition of that was like really interesting as a young kid. And then later on, I was interested in filmmakers who took narrative and either subverted it politically, or who were establishing narrative and then ripping it apart. And the easiest kind of pieces for me at that point were like Maya Deren, Spike Lee, David Lynch, Stanley Kubrick. Now, I think that what changed my life was I was an active drug user as a young kid, and I had to get to a point where I had to figure out how to create some sort of a foundation for a lot of the visions that I was dealing with.
Check it out, y'all.
Trump's president now,
Yes, y'all.
so they just think they could just fucking do anything. Like it's 1962 in this bitch, bro. No, there's not no peaceful protest sitting shit, bro. You coming at me, bro, I will bust your ass. This fucking white boy comes up to me in the fucking alley, bro. I'm in the alley taking a shortcut from the corner store. This fucking fool is wearing, this white boy is wearing some fucking Make America Great Again ass mask. Like it's a ski mask with American flag on it, whatever. Cool. I'm like, okay, so I'm just thinking some druggy club, whatever. You know what I mean? This nigga starts yelling, fucking, go back to Africa, nigger. Go back to Africa, nigger. Go back to Africa, nigger. Donald Trump, ooh, Trump. Make America great again.
Commodity trading takes place in the jungles. The jungles is a community that's run mainly by the Blood Gang. Blood Gang, historically, was a community organization. Same with the Crips. And they came into existence because there was a lack of infrastructure. And so their goals were vigilante, and then they became involved in drugs. And that's where really the violence and all of the stereotypes generate from all of the gangs in the United States. Having grown up and known people in gangs and known people who are adjacent to gangs my whole life, it was not all that different for me. I know, I knew how to navigate those areas. But of course, I'm always until I'm vouched for, essentially. In the movie, there's a bomb that went off, a car bomb, and you see the wreckage of the car bomb. It's literally maybe 500 feet from my bedroom window where my daughter was when it happened. And then where I saw the person murdered was also just kitty corner, so like another block away. So it's very kind of close-knit community, but that deals with violence on a kind of regular basis.
Don't give me no attitude, bitches!
9/11 was a much bigger turning point in my life. The reason is because the internet was just getting really solidified as a necessity for day-to-day life. Typically, like in the US, if you buy cable television, you get like 50 or 60 channels back then. Now it's like thousands. All of them were 9/11 coverage non-stop for days and days and days. All you saw when you turned on the TV was the buildings going down. And I was 12 years old, but I saw in the adults around me that something in their head just got broken. Like they just didn't know what to do. And so they sat and watched it, and they let us sit and watch it. And that's the Baudrillard kind of idea of like that recycled image begins to have its own kind of massage, loses any of the like potency of it. Fast forward and you have a wealth of death now that is shown easily, right? So I think that there's levels to this desensitization that occurred at 9/11 that birthed this nothingness. People started being patriotic. They don't know what the fuck patriotic was. They just wanted someone to blame for them feeling wounded and their lack of security. They wanted to punish the excess of 90s liberalism, which they essentially associated with black folks and queer folks, you know. The cult mentality of Trump is not based in anything else except for the fact that he's racist. But Trump is a clown, and Trump would never be put into the position of power to actually give him power. If he's in power, it is because of white supremacy. And it's also because there is other non-United States actors who are involved in the politics of the United States and own a good amount of our economy. Also owned a good amount of the now defunct Trump organization. For instance, the Saudi Arabians, who put over $500 million into Trump's son-in-law's skyscraper. What I've found is that Trump is the pimple, the thing that rose to the top of an infection, and that in central to my own work and central to everything that we see in capitalism, the beginning of capitalism is a triangular slave trade. Then from there, they went through and devalued human beings to the point where they were literally trading a value of half a human. So putting it all together, we had perfectly set up a racist society, a neoliberal construct that hides the racism that it uses essentially to control colonies, penal colonies or otherwise, and then also the sort of hallucinatory state that it provides through a media cocoon. Last thing I'll say on Trump though, promise. As a kid, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and that was when I was very young, and it changed my life entirely. I began becoming involved in activist politics, immigration, march, and Palestinian rights when I was 14, 15 years old. And so I'd skip school sometimes. Don't do that. Skip school sometimes and do that. But what I kind of always knew, and what my grandmother told me, I make mention in my movies, is that we should not trust certain people, and we should not trust the police, and we need to like always have our guard up. And so I recognized that as I was getting older, but I realized that white folks and me passing don't have that worry. And so there was a huge segment of the white population that has taken on like guilt for all of racism because they won't actually admit that it exists, and they think that that is an insult towards them and towards their power structure. And so they embody it and vote with it. And even if they don't say it out loud, they clearly vote with it. I also think, last thing on this subject, looting is going to be the thing that completely takes down the economy. Looting is an activity which has more, let's say, especially in media, has a bigger repercussion, because they don't like the fact that you would reduce the value of something to nothing and take it rather than use their nothing to buy it. Fuck. If somebody wants a television from a damn corporate store in the middle of hell, like, let them have it. People were being shot for looting during Hurricane Katrina in the United States. So that kind of shows you, when they had all this food that they could have been given for free from the supermarkets going to rot anyway, the United States had sent out police not to rescue black folks, but to shoot them dead. So for me, I don't know. I kind of see it as the chicken's coming home to roost. So what erupts in the United States isn't necessarily legitimate political violence. What erupts in the U.S. is a mix of poverty, necessity, spectacle, nihilism. I either joke and say I'm a media drug manufacturer or I'm a media terrorist. Both are true, so I take that like as a complimentary title.